I'd like to think that things are going in a more positive direction for me, at least on certain aspects. And one of those aspects being my co-parenting with my ex-wife. Things have been fine, and people don't generally ask me about it. So why am I bringing that up? Why am I talking about this today? Well, in honor of coming together as parents and having a good time, I'm going to watch their podcast for the first time. So this is my ex-wife and her fiance. It's Chris and Chris. Let's just jump right into it because I
All
know
right, welcome to the first ever To Be Better podcast.
they have some decent
We are the
followers
Chris's.
on YouTube, but apparently there's more on TikTok.
I am Odin's Inc. on TikTok.
Inked_goddess13.
This entire situation has become relevant because of our TikTok accounts.
It has.
So being that this is our first episode, we're going to give you guys a little bit of a quick who we are, what we do, why we're even on YouTube making these podcasts, and then we will get into some questions and emails and announcements.
So why? Let's
So
why
first
are we
and
doing
foremost,
this?
we are a traditional value, traditional marriage couple.
At least we're like on the same page of what we want our households to be like. Like I go to work, I come home, and I come home to a clean house, a clean apartment, a clean place. Everything is taken care of, and there's cooking that's being done, and I make a lot of money, come home, and that's just a traditional family like thing. And I understand that not a lot of people may directly agree with the lifestyle that there has to be two hustlers, etc., etc. It doesn't really matter.
Everything that society tells you not to do. We have gender roles,
Society tells
pink
you
job,
not
blue
to do,
jobs,
yeah,
whatever you'd
that's
like to call it.
kind of
Very
a
traditional
lot of
in
people
that,
do that.
I am a protector and make sure that you're safe and open car doors and do all the things that a gentleman is supposed to do. Even though we're told that it's toxic and we shouldn't be doing those things. So you want to talk about our jobs a little bit, like what we do for our...
I think the people that actually say that being a gentleman is toxic are just people with like who lack general intelligence on like, okay, yeah, you can open your car door for yourself, but is me being nice about it really like that big of a deal? Oh, I can do this by myself. I don't need help. That's fine. You can be like that. But these two people in this relationship, they agree. Wait, they have matching outfits, don't they? I was like, wait a second.
Our roles in the
That's kind
home
of
so that
cute.
people
They
can
have
understand
matching
what we mean by
outfits.
traditional values.
Yeah, so I maintain the household. I cook, I
Yeah,
clean, I take
see,
care of the
that's
kids.
exactly what we do
Of
over
course,
here.
he helps with all of it, especially if I'm getting overwhelmed with the children.
It's nice to be on the
But those
same
are your
page,
jobs.
you know?
Right.
Kids aren't seeing two different things.
I run errands.
So that's the gender role expectation. The gentleman thing that I mentioned, and it's prevalent because of the amount of hate that we have received on TikTok, because I believe that it is a man's duty to keep his women and kids safe. And
So I do think that with like 600,000 followers, I'm fairly sure that there are definitely like at least I would just ballpark maybe 10 to 100,000 people. I don't think 100,000. I definitely think closer to 10,000 are probably giving them grief. Like I'm sure there's a decent amount of people, but like you think about that, that's not even really a lot of people in general. So like, yeah, there's gonna be hate. Like no matter what, there's gonna be backlash. There's gonna be people that don't agree with you. They're gonna live their lives the way that they want to live them. I don't think it's too significant to bring up. Like yeah, obviously they're gonna be there. They're gonna say what they're gonna say.
I am a huge proponent for protect, provide, and preside. You want to protect your family, provide for them, and then lead your household. And I do all the gentleman things. I sleep closest to the door in case somebody breaks in. Open car doors for you.
Or
sit
walking
with
on the
my,
sidewalk
never
when
have
you're on
my
the-
back to an exit.
Yeah.
Walk up and down the stairs the right way, like the curbs, everything that you.
The curbs.
I mean, we'll get into those conversations, I'm sure, in the future. I don't need to go too in depth with that now, but
Right.
I am very big on the art of the gentleman, so that's important to me.
I have also received a lot of hate for wanting to be your piece and make your life easy.
Well, because you're a traditional wife, people want to call you a slave and say that you are brainwashed and setting yourself up for failure in life. And
I'm being taken.
Obviously, I've said some things about them, but to come out and like not even knowing these people, especially like not having the personal relationship that I like have with them, if you come out and just see their TikTok or you just like work around them or you've been in their store, it's kind of like weird to just be like upset that they have a traditional relationship, to say that, oh, she's a slave because she's submitting in a relationship. Like she's following a role that she wants to follow. Like, she wants to be that person. Like, my girlfriend wants to do this for me, you know, the same way that her fiance wants to be in his role. And it's like, I want to be in my role too. Like, we do what we do to make this like function. It's like, that's how we've gotten to where we've gotten. That's how we've become successful, both as like in like individual households, and both as a communion kind of like coming together. That's how we become successful in certain aspects. It's like we do what we do to make sure that our household and how it's run and our kids are understanding that we're not that different, you know. And I don't think people criticizing them for wanting to be traditional makes much sense. It's like, you're not getting to Mars. You're not going to Mars and terraforming it and doing anything incredible or scientific or historical. You're not doing something fantastic by not being traditional. You going out and being two hustlers is fine, but you're not fucking curing cancer with it. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm not going to sit here and criticize you for having two hustlers in your relationship and you guys just do everything together. Like, I'm not going to criticize women who want to be in business or women who want to have jobs like that. Like, I'm not going to criticize them. Like, that's the point. Is like, they're doing what they want to do. Like, there's nothing wrong with the people who make this podcast talking about traditional relationships. There's nothing wrong with it. It's stupid to even like have a problem with. I really want to know what a lot of hate is. Like, I want to know what the percentage, like what percentage of their demographic actually gives them shit.
One of the things that we have gotten very big on TikTok because of is communication. We have nailed communication really well between the two of us. And the entire time that we've been together, we've never had a...
They have nailed communication so well that they've actually begun to finish each other's sentences. Like, literally, they said the same thing at the same time, but obviously she was waiting for it. I'm just fucking joking around about it. Yeah, communication is really important, guys, and so is accountability. Like, I mean, I don't generally care too much about, like, accountability for fucking everything. Like, yeah, sometimes there's going to be little things where you just go like, all right, I'm sorry. You don't have to sit there and have like a full processed 5-minute explanation about what I did wrong, you know?
An argument. We've had 2 heated discussions because we were not able to understand what the other person was saying.
Right.
But we were able to resolve that relatively easy once we were able to figure out what was actually being said. It was resolved in like 5 minutes. Take accountability for it so that the next time something goes wrong, I can avoid those steps.
And I do the same thing.
Yeah, being self-aware is really important. I'm glad that he does that.
What if somebody's
at least
been
comes out and
abused,
says,
or
you know,
what if cancer happens, and
it's
you
good
know,
to
people want to
advocate
throw
for
the
that.
hardest, most craziest things at me because of what I'm saying with the extreme accountability instead of actually hearing what I'm saying.
Right.
They think that I'm blaming them for things, and accountability and blame are 2 different things. We've had those discussions numerous times as well.
Yeah.
But the accountability thing is really big. So we are going to field a couple of questions from our TikTok pages so that those of you who are on our YouTube channel can understand.
I had a woman ask, both of us, how as a woman can I attract this type of man?
Why do they always ask us that?
What's that even mean? What's that mean? How as a woman can I attract this kind of... Like, I feel like there's so much context missing there. Like, I have more questions for who asked that question than I have answers. Because, like, my only answer is, because she did? What the fuck? Like, what kind of question is that? How as a woman do you attract this kind of man? I don't know. Maybe because I was attractive to him? Like... what?
Because I landed me a good fucking fish.
I could see
out here like a sexy salmon.
well, I couldn't do podcasts like this. So I couldn't answer questions like that because I look at them and just call the person
really
asking the question stupid.
Those questions because we weren't looking for each other.
Right.
Like this is a happenstance for us.
This is an over time thing. Is that what he's about to say?
Before. So like, there's not like we didn't just have this figured out. Like, you and I had a year of conversations, multiple conversations over and over and over again that developed into a really close friendship. So by the time we started dating, it wasn't like we were hooking up on the internet and then just, fucking and then it being a thing. Like we
knew each other pretty well.
A lot.
Yeah.
When you think about that, like when you think of today's like hookup culture and the way dating is now, like we had a year of friendship before anything transpired. Like people are like one date smash. Like we didn't do that. So that, I mean, I think that's key to what she's
Right.
asking.
Hookup culture is kind of how do I even like start talking about hookup culture, because it's like, yes, people have like become accessible to this via technology and like the internet. We were able to easily find people to have sexual relations with like very quickly. So the fact that they're sitting here establishing the fact that they had communication prior to this kind of relationship, that's generally like a much better thing to have than to just immediately find someone and be like, hey, you want to fuck? And then that's just what the relationship is based off of. It's not like,
I think that it comes down to being able to be patient
Right. And
Not-
have understanding.
and not settling.
Yeah.
Like, we did you helped me a lot with the dirty
That's
work
important.
that I had to do for my previous marriage, right?
I don't like settling.
I had a lot of things that I needed to take accountability for. And I think that a lot of people don't get to know each other like that anymore. That desire to get to know someone on an intimate level and not just a sexual level is fading.
I don't really know if I necessarily completely agree with this statement about like this kind of intimacy fading away. If you look at kind of like history, like the intimacy was never really like that often there. A lot of relationships were based off of abuse, like in the 50s and like etc., like 40s, and a lot of the time period of just when things were industrialized. There was so much domestic abuse, and women just had to follow underneath like a role. If anything, I think that we definitely got more passionate around the late 1900s, and then maybe it started to fade a little bit. Like, I mean, we've been having sexual deviance since the Greeks and Romans. I mean, time after time, like different time periods do different things. See, I don't necessarily know if I 100% agree with the concept of this intimacy has been kind of fading. I mean, if anything, hopefully, like, it's been getting better to some degree. I know that there's a lot of dumbasses that post these just stupid things online and on TikTok about how they're just out doing all the sexes. Like these guys, they're like, I could steal your girlfriend. I've seen a lot of people that are like, yeah, look at me and then look at you. And then your girlfriend, who's she going to go with? It's me, obviously. There's a lot of people that just really don't care and generally have no empathy about things like that. And no shame to post things like that. And like, yeah, while these people do exist, I still don't know if I 100% agree with the idea that intimacy is fading. I really hope or like to think that it's not like that. And, I'm not omniscient. I'm not peering through my wizard orb into my neighbor's household to make sure that they're being intimate with their spouse. But I am hopeful and intimate in my own sense, and try to be at least intimate with the world around me and the people around me, regardless on if it's a romantic relationship or not.
You're excited and like,
Right. Somebody new.
Yeah.
Get to know them. Mysteries.
Right, but that's not really where it is anymore.
Right.
Like, people don't do the getting talking. I actually had a message come through where somebody asked me I don't remember exactly how she worded it, but she said that when she sends spicy text messages, he replies
Yeah.
immediately, but when she sends conversations, it takes him forever. And I'm like,
Oh.
well, that he's telling you, like, he
Yeah,
just wants
he
to
doesn't
fuck.
care.
Like, that's
Yeah.
not.
There's
I
no
don't want that.
communication.
Like, that wasn't something
right?
that I wanted with you. Even when we actually had our first date, like, we had conversations about our date, and like we analyzed our date and picked the shit apart. Like, how did I do? And like we interviewed ourselves, and there was
Right.
The
there was an
selfie
excitement
vow.
behind all of that, and that I feel like that's
brought one of those
something
into
that's lost
work.
on society. So as for finding a guy like me, fix yourself.
Right.
Like, be the best, most fucking gangster version of you can be. Have your shit together. Know what you want, and be willing to articulate that to your partner. Like, when you sit down for dinner that first time and you guys are learning about
Having I brought that into work. Like, I always compare how like I get text messages and emails from them, because sometimes it's just straight up like a work email. Like, she'll be like, going forward, blah blah blah. Like, it's just the going forward thing. It's like I always expect to see that in like a work email or something. And it's like, but that's fine. It's fine. Like, yeah, it can be maybe a little. It could seem like it comes off as somewhat superficial to me sometimes, just with the way, but that's how text messages are in general. You can't just like look at a text message and think the intentions of the person talking to you. Like, I can't sit there and look at one of their text messages to me and be like, oh, they're being superficial. Like, maybe that's like how I perceive the type of, way that they're speaking, because it's like email talk, because they do talk like that. They talk like it's some kind of profession, and which again, it's totally fine. But I can see where it may come off like that, even though I know that that's not what they're doing. I know that they're not pretending to be nice.
This is going to be one of those things that I've got a ton of hate on. I believe men should pay for the date. Like,
I agree.
And people are like, well, women just want to use you for money for food or whatever. Well,
Then don't take them out again.
so what? It's dinner. Like, if you can't afford a $20 meal for somebody to spend 2 hours with them, like, maybe you shouldn't be dating.
Okay. I just hit my first, like, anchor. Let's fucking drop anchor on ship right here. Okay, look, I completely understand. I don't 100% disagree, but I don't 100% agree with this concept of a man should pay for dinner. I think it's definitely professional and gentlemanly for a man to do so. Now, if the woman does, I don't think it's ungentlemanly or unmanly. I don't think it matters. I think money was made up. It's like we made it up as a certain sense of currency. Like, we have currencies all over the world. We got pesos, we got euros, we got yen, we got all kinds of different currencies that we made up in order to get out of bargaining and haggling. But look where we are now with it. Look, we have like over 2 quadrillion banks that are leveraged with derivatives that are like, they could go insolvent at like fucking any moment if we all just withdrew our money, and then they would get bailed out by the government for over $2 trillion. And no, it'd be more of a bailout, but $2 trillion was going to like SVB and the fucking Silicon Valley Bank and whatever the fuck the other one was. That was like well over $170 billion of money that they just didn't have. That, like, if the government can bail out banks for $2 trillion, why can't they just pay for universal health care? Especially since Silicon Valley Bank, all those people there, they sold their shares before that shit went down anyway. So money is fucking useless, pointless, and invaluable, and it's only good to pretend. Like, it's just a number in a computer. It's imaginary. So that's why I don't care about who pays for dinner. Like, I don't even care about, like, working for the rest of my life. Like, I'm always looking for ways to get more income to try to, cushion the blow of society's expectations. And like, I'm tired all the time. I don't want to work all the time. I fucking am not working for the rest of my life. I don't care. I'm gonna figure it out one of these days. But I mean, I'm slowly getting there. I'm not going to sit here and talk about my finances. The whole point of bringing this up was that who gives a shit about who pays for dinner? It really doesn't matter. I mean, it's definitely the gentleman thing to do. I agree with that. I just don't think it's necessarily an incorrect or a wrong thing for you to have somebody else pay for it. It really isn't a big deal. Yeah, I started going on a rant, and I forgot to even talk about what he said here, because he was talking about how maybe you shouldn't be dating and you should be getting, yourself like situated. And it's like, yeah, I get that you should be financially stable, but I'm not, I'm not going to go tell people, hey, don't date unless you have money, because, it's completely normal human relations to fall in love with people if you're poor. I mean, look at a lot of different stories in fiction, and over time, the poor guy falls in love with a rich girl. Like, we understand that these things happen. I'm not going to sit there and be like that and criticize people for wanting to have relationships, but also not being financially stable. Most people are not financially stable. They actually say that the average fucking salary in the United States is like 50 grand a year, but it's like most people aren't even salary. What the fuck you talk? Does that apply to hourly employees? Does that statistic apply to hourly employees? Or are you only surveying like salaried? Or are you even surveying them? Or are you just like finding these statistics online? I don't even know how the fuck that number even came up, because like I don't even barely make 40K a year, and it's like, and I make pretty much, like, I'm not gonna tell you the exact amount, but pretty much like $20 an hour. So it's like, how the fuck are people making? How is the average person making 50? Like everybody works at Walmart. Everyone works at Goodwill, at Publix. Like, where are these people that are making 50K like all the time? What?
Go to a park. Fucking pack some sandwiches in a picnic
Right,
basket.
yeah. No, not every day has to be, yeah.
Throw a blanket on the ground. Fucking
All right,
sit
that's fine.
outside
Yeah,
and
I
sweat
agree
for
with
a couple
that.
hours. I don't
I
know.
thought I was worried he was going to talk about, like,
and I'll
don't
probably
date if
catch
you don't have
flack
money.
for here too. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I
No,
don't
no.
care if you agree or not.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
that's
either.
what I believe in, and nothing's going to change that.
Yeah.
So, like, I will pay for dates every single time I've ever gone on.
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. No criticism there. I just
And I guess
make
it's
sure
kind of
we're
a
not
shitty thing to
criticizing
say
other
that if
people
you can't
for,
afford to go on a date, you shouldn't be
being
dating.
poor.
Because I guess having finances doesn't really dictate your worth.
Right.
But-
Like you said, you could do free dates.
But
Right.
you can do free dates.
Free dates.
Right. So,
I'm glad he understands. I'm glad they both
I think
understand
one of
that.
the reasons that I landed you is because I'm intelligent. And when I say intelligent, I mean emotional intelligence.
Oh, no, not a blow. I'm not making fun of her. To just come out and say, because I'm intelligent.
Like, I did the work on trying to figure out my own shit. So
Right, you're supposed to.
I think I showed you well enough that if we ever get into discussions like we've had, I'm capable of taking my accountability and working to make me better for myself.
That's
and for
good.
us.
That's good.
yeah, but I don't think I saw that on the first date, though.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G.
Just having a conversation about your ex, like, we knew each other's exes.
Right.
So we already knew who they were as people. So when we're having conversations and you're not throwing blame, that's a huge thing
It
for me. That's a
is.
green flag. That would be one of those things where I'm like, okay, she's emotionally mature. Like, she knows what the fuck she's doing.
It is a goddamn blessing that my ex-wife is a woman that doesn't just fucking throw my name around into people's, like, backyards and start talking shit about me. Because I see a lot of these people online where they talk about their baby mamas or baby daddies doing this or blah, blah, blah. And it's just a goddamn nightmare. I don't understand how any of you have, like, exes like that. How did you get in that situation to begin with? Like, yeah, when we were, like, separating, it was definitely very emotional and very toxic. But for the most part, it seems like a lot of other people's, like, exes are fucking nightmarish.
You're not throwing it all on him, and I wasn't throwing it on her. We were saying, okay, well, these were our shortcomings, and we could
Yeah,
have
we
been better
like
here,
how
and
we mentioned
yes,
before,
this
we had
happened, but if I would've
accountability,
just
yeah.
done this, that wouldn't have been a case, and, like, because it is going to tell you a lot about people, and you can find out, like, how close people are with their families, how their relationships are with their parents.
Right.
Those
yeah,
are
no,
kind
I'm-
of important things as well.
My relationship with my parents is that I literally had to pick my dad up from dropping off a rental car today, and when I called him, I said I had my children with me and my girlfriend and asked him if he would like to come out to lunch with us. This man said no, he'll wait until after we're done. I was very confused, so I asked him why he wouldn't want to come with us. He kind of was we were both getting kind of very frustrated. Like, this is my relationship with my father pretty much to this point, of me actually getting so frustrated with him because he didn't bring anything that he needed to bring, and that I had to take him all the way back to his place in order to get his stuff, in order to take him to where he wanted to go. But I understand if your reason is to go, oh, I forgot, that's fine. But if your reason is, I didn't want to have my stuff outside of the rental car waiting for you because I didn't want to look like the homeless person on the side of the road, when you're a 50-year-old man in Southwest Florida on the side of, like, the road that no one's gonna care. And then to have an argument with me over that, yes, I just basically sent my mom money for an Uber. I literally did. I saw it, he got Ubered. So, yeah, I take care of my father, but goddamn is he fucking something else.
I think it's also important to say a man like you is not going to be on Tinder.
No, I've never had a Tinder account. I had, fuck. It was like,
There's anything wrong with that.
I'm old. I'm 42 years old. I was born in 1980. So, like,
Oh, yeah, you
I
didn't
had
have
life before
Tinder.
internet
Like, you didn't.
and, like, got to
when
witness
you
all
were
this
young
shit
and
and
horny,
everything.
you didn't have the mobile device that just gave it to you immediately. Yeah.
But yeah, I had a Match.com account way back in the day. It was before I moved to the area. I had it in like
Match. Oh,
98
dude.
or 99, maybe early 2000.
I never.
And,
That's like old people match.
I never did anything with it. Like,
Right.
I swipe on a picture to see if somebody's attractive and then you want to fuck them like that.
Right. That's solely based on appearance too.
Yeah, well, and you're gonna get.
Well, yeah, like yeah. So
I'm good
okay.
with that. I don't want to deal with any
So
of that shit. Like,
at first, who cares?
the idea of swiping and having somebody coming to my house, like, you know how dangerous that is.
Craigslist killer dangerous. Like,
Yeah. So what would your answer to that question be? Because I've been talking now for
yeah. What even
10
is that
minutes and
question?
I haven't shut
Like-
the fuck up. So I'm going to shut up and let you.
'Cause, like,
know.
yeah,
I would say
we-
my answer for that is don't look on Tinder. You're not going to find a man like mine on Tinder, like he said. You have to be
Who said that?
in a good place mentally. If you are somebody who
I agree with that.
blames your triggers on everybody and everything, but you don't want to say like, hey, how can I work on myself to not be triggered by these things? I don't feel like a good man is going to want to.
And I don't necessarily think that saying you're not going to find a man like Chris on Tinder is like I probably not. I don't know. I mean, everybody's different. You don't know. Someone might use Tinder and might be a completely normal person and communicate. They might be Jeffrey Dahmer. Like you can't just sit there and say you're not going to find that guy because you could. I'm not the guru that's gonna sit here and preach to you about what your chances are. What's your probability? What are your odds? Like I don't know. I don't have those numbers. I don't have those statistics. Like you guys got together because you worked together. Like that's also something that is like inherently frowned upon, isn't it? Like I wouldn't sit there and just blame Tinder for like, or say don't use it. Like you can use it if you want. I'm not going to sit there and tell people the viability of it or how useful it is. Like, I would say for the most part, generally speaking, it is based off of appearance. But I'm not going to judge every individual who starts looking for relationships based off of appearance because I mean, appearance can be important in relationships. It matters how people prioritize. If you prioritize appearance over other things, then yeah, you might not be in the right space mentally. You might not be prioritizing things properly. But that doesn't mean you can't, continue to be better or get better. Finding a relationship with someone who you immediately thought was just physically attractive. Like you can find people physically attractive and then also find common ground and communicate and get better and get healthier and be a normal person who isn't a fucking goofy grooving weirdo that just wants to fuck and not communicate with your partner.
I constantly show you that I appreciate you and that I want you and that I love you and you're the best damn thing that's ever walked into my life, the finest too.
And you tell me regularly that you're proud of me, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Men thrive when they have somebody in their corner that
Absolutely
give them positive affirmations.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it doesn't take much. I'm proud of you. You're a good dad. Hey, I appreciate that you're working so hard. Like
it helps a
lot.
lot.
Of people on TikTok saying that all their partner does is nag, and
Right.
like it comes from both sides. It's
You might not want to hear it, but they're kind of right here. Like, obviously, I think when men are like out there working their asses off, like, I mean, I do HVAC. I'm up and at it. I'm crawling around in the most dangerous, like, deadly, fucking, stupid situations sometimes. And, like, I mean, people do way worse jobs than that. And, women do it too. But the point is that, yeah, women can do what they aspire to do or who they could be who they want to be. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, they're doing a man's work. No, they're just doing work. But yeah, on average and generally, men are the ones that do this because naturally we are more built for it. And that is, we're supposed to be protectors and providers as per like nature, but it doesn't have to be that way. I do agree that it is nice, especially when you're going, no matter what gender role you are, if you're the woman working, if you're the man working, it is so much nicer to come home to somebody who is going to appreciate you, who is going to love you, who's going to find you attractive, and who's going to constantly show you that. Because once they constantly show you that, then you're like, fuck yeah, cool, this is great, you know, I'm fucking happy. And it's someone that you're attracted to, that you're in love with. If you're not in love with that person and you're not attracted to them, all that love that they're going to give you, you're not going to care about. If you're just solely apathetic to your partner, you know, then find a new partner, break up with them. But if you reciprocate their feelings and you're busting your ass and you come home to hear all these nice things, it's fucking fantastic, you know?
Obviously, more women are naggers than men, according to TikTok.
I don't know.
But that's because men don't listen. Like,
yeah,
if
no,
you-
we
if
don't.
you hear your
We're
partner
leaders.
repeat the shit back and get it
I
done.
guess.
Like,
Right.
at that point, there's no reason to nag. Now, in the event that, like, they're asking you to clean something and it's not to their standards, that's a problem. Because they're trying to make you do something to their standards, and that's not the way things work. Doing, like, leaving the Publix bags on the counter. Like, I know that I'm doing it. I put the food away and walked out of the kitchen. I do it every single time. But that's not something you've ever nagged at me for.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's
we
a
joke about
minor
it. It's no
inconvenience.
different than you with the cabinet.
Like, it's
Like,
not
a
not the
pop-up
healthiest
thing.
habit to leave Publix bags on your
I
counters,
think we're
but
also
like,
good
who
at
gives a
gentle
shit?
reminders for each other. Like, if I forget to do something, you don't go, "Hey, dumb bitch, you didn't get it done. What's the problem?"
No, because you beat me. I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Okay.
I am getting those gains in the
Oh,
gym.
stop it.
You better watch out.
Yeah.
Big guns.
Christina, gains don't mean anything. These guns don't mean shit. I could go out and become Arnold Schwarzenegger, and if I come up to somebody who's a natural fighter, they're gonna kick my ass. Like, being strong means nothing. You can't beat Chris.
How am I supposed to effectively communicate with my boyfriend? I try to. He always says I'm complaining, negative, bitchy, or petty.
It's the way that you're delivering the conversation.
Right.
So if you come at me and you say, you do this.
Right.
You do that. And when you don't do this, it pisses me off. My defenses are going right up.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
have nothing to tell
hey.
you with that.
Hey, yeah, 100%. That's what I do. Wow, and it's like we have that in common, but like,
Like, you just came at me sideways talking on the side of
yeah,
your neck.
don't
like,
come
we're
at me
not okay.
sideways.
But if you came out and you were like, if like I said something the day before that hurt your feelings, and you were to say, I feel like shit when we have discussions and these kind of words are used. At that point, you're not throwing the blame on me. You're telling me you don't like those kind of words, or you don't
Right.
like my tone when I use those kind of words.
He's absolutely right. He's going and saying that, being more specific and saying this stuff kind of like affects me this way. This is how these things affect me. You're putting, you know, any kind of blame on yourself, going, hey, when you act this way, or when these things happen, not specifically when you act this way, but when these things happen, this is how I feel. So as opposed to putting blame on them, going, I don't like when you do this, I don't like when you do that, I don't like this, I don't like that, blah, blah, blah. It's so much nicer to come out and say, hey, when these like things happen, this is how I feel.
I versus you. If
Yeah.
you say you do this, it's an aggressive fuck you, and if it's a I feel like.
Right. I'm really glad he actually says this, because that was like a pretty big issue in like my actual relationship with her. So like the fact that he's even saying that, it kind of like, this is like the first time I really feel like on the same side as him, because like for as a personal thing, because like it is kind of obnoxious when people just kind of come at you and they're like, you do this, you do that. It is a big fuck you. Like, it really is. Like, you don't have to communicate with me like that. You can just come out and have like a normal conversation and express your emotions or feelings without like coming out and doing a huge fuck you.
And like most men don't do well when women get upset or start crying.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we've
And
had
they
these
don't know how to
talks.
handle it. And
If
it's
you
like,
came to me and said that you need whatever, and it was something that I could do to make you not sad or you not feel a certain way, I'm gonna fucking do it.
Right.
It might take me 2 or 3 weeks to like
right.
Implement it and
create a habit,
yeah.
and like there will be times where I'll have to stop and apologize and like fix that right away.
Yeah,
like,
because you
when
can't just
when you're
immediately
doing
change
something that
behavior.
you're not
You
supposed
have to
be
create
doing,
a habit.
Stop during doing it.
Right.
And mentally break that habit
Yeah.
while it's happening. That's going to change things. So in her scenario, I would say that she needs to I instead of you. Don't try to correct things or make change when there is conflict, because you're not going to institute change when conflict is happening. It is important to let that
Unless that
scenario
conflict's resolved, that's
simmer.
the change you need.
Let it go from a boil to a simmer, and things are calm. Maybe the next morning or the day after that, And just
I definitely think that, like, if you're going to implement new changes and there's conflict going on, like, you have to change the conflict. Like, there has to be no conflict. That has to be part of the change.
because now you're opening that conversation from a place of I wish we were better, or remorse, if you want to call it that. I think I wish we were better is a better phrase. But once you do that,
Kratos,
you're
dude.
taking
Be
accountability.
better.
They're likely to do the same. It may not be a true apology. It could be like, yeah, me too.
Kratos, man. Yeah, Kratos really
But
does it.
I also think it's important when you apologize, you express why you're
Why.
apologizing, not just saying I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You could honestly skip this entire podcast and just go play the entire God of War series, and you would absolutely understand exactly what they're talking about. In the first 3 games, Kratos goes on a murder spree of all of his brothers and aunts and uncles and father and all of Mount Olympus because they made him basically accidentally murder his own wife and child. And it was very fucked up, very toxic. And, you know, once you get into the newer games, you start to realize that he's basically a dad. And instead of murdering everybody, he's choosing peace instead of conflict. And ironically, you know, with the literal title of the podcast is To Be Better, Kratos just always tells people we will be better. And it's like... I watched this podcast, I'm thinking to myself, is this God of War? Like, is this
We
God of War?
got into it the other day. I don't like it when we fight. I also think that it's important not to raise your voice at your partners.
I was just thinking that.
So in the event that you are having a heated discussion, take a second. Like,
Yeah, it's good to not do that. I'm
apologize.
terrible with that.
Take a breath.
I raise
walk
my
around
voice
the
at
living room
everything.
if you need to. Like 5 deep breaths. I don't care what you have to do. In the event that you catch
Yeah,
yourself
walk
raising
away.
your voice, stop what you're doing. Just look at your partner and be like, "I love you. I'm sorry I talked to you like that. I don't want to be this way with you. Like, I want to be able
Right.
to
No one should
have a
want to
civil
be like that.
conversation and not treat you poorly."
Right.
Because you're doing a lot in that.
Right. If you actually like, if you genuinely want to scream and yell, like, I've done a lot of it. Like, I abhor it. It's terrible. I hate it. The fact that I'm screaming and yelling means that I'm upset and there's something that I don't like. If I'm actually pushed to that point, or if I push myself to that point and I lose or have a lack of control, I'm not going to desire it. Like, if as a decent man, if you desire it and you enjoy it, you're Jeffrey Dahmer. We go right back to that.
I think as a woman, I've had to actually check myself a couple of times where something super small, for example, like the clothes on the floor in front of the hamper.
Oh God,
The
yeah.
first time that happened, I was like, this bitch. But then I took a step back and I was like, is that really that big of a deal to get upset about? Like, do I really need to call him in here and say,
Right.
you lazy, what is this?
Shove the
Pick up
dog's
your
nose
clothes, I
in
do
the
everything
shit.
else
You
in the
know,
house.
grab them, throw them in the dirty
And I had a
clothes
second thought
basket,
process about it.
put the lid on it.
And then I made that TikTok where I said, one day you're not going to be here and I'm going to miss picking up your clothes in front of the hamper.
So men have our
yeah,
own
no.
piles of clothes, and if it's
Drenched
half in
in
the
sweat.
hamper, half out, that's a possibility that some men may wear that shirt again.
That's actually good to know.
That's a thing. Obviously, I have
See,
my own
yeah,
system.
well,
My-
I guess
my
women
pile
didn't
on the side
understand
of the bed
that.
is I'm going to wear
Maybe.
this again. Everything that's in within 5
That's
feet
a very
of the hamper is
personal
just
thing.
me
Not everybody does
not
that,
playing
obviously.
basketball
Yeah.
But
because I suck at
to,
it.
to bring that
Right.
into light
So,
and be
but
like,
I will fastball,
I do this.
throw it
you
as
know?
far as I can, and get it as close as I can to that thing.
The last thing I want to say about this is ask him why he feels like you're coming at him with pettiness.
Or break up with them.
bitchiness. Like, how am I articulating myself that makes you feel like I'm bitching at you?
Right.
Did she actually use the term petty in there?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, don't
So
say
they obviously
petty.
have different standards
Right.
of things, because if he feels something's petty and she doesn't,
There's a lack of communication.
there's a breakdown there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to word this the way that I'm trying to say it, but it's almost like me saying that this is stupid and you getting mad about it because we do that. And I'm like, the you being mad is not stupid. The fact that we're arguing over something so dumb is stupid. Like, and it's not really arguments. Like, you know, it's you brought something up and I didn't see it as a big deal. So I'm like, this is dumb. And like, we've had that conversation
Right.
and I've had to explain, like, I'm not calling you dumb. I'm not invalidating your argument or that you feel the way that you feel, but like, I don't want us to have a bad day because
Right, like if you have disagreements with your partner about things being quote unquote petty, something's petty to you, but something's not petty to your partner. Yeah, I understand that there may be a lack of communication there, but in like my circumstance, like for example, not to throw anyone on blast, one time I had an argument about having drinks in the living room. What they're talking about is that there's some kind of a lack of communication when one person finds something petty and one person does not find something petty. And a good part of communication is to bring up factual evidence, such as a coffee table, where it is a table which, within the literal name, has a drink in it. And it is something that is found in a living room. So therefore, if you can drink coffee, then why can't you drink other drinks or eat foods? You know, coffee goes great with donuts. As for example, hey, if you're going to communicate, you know, don't just always bring your personal bias into something. Provide some kind of factual evidence to like sustain something, like some kind of art. Don't argue to argue. Like honestly, don't just be mad to be mad or argue to argue. It's silly.
I could die tomorrow. Like, why the fuck would I be mad over laundry?
Right. You never know when you're gonna die.
Tomorrow.
You could just
And, like,
fucking
the last 4
dead.
hours that we could have had together, we were fighting over a fucking laundry basket.
Right. That would be stupid. This is what
That's
I
my
hate.
thought process.
I
That's why
hate stuff like
motivated
that.
About the dumb arguments.
Right.
Dumb arguments are dumb.
I had somebody comment and say, but let's not talk
Cabinet
about
slamming.
women who stay home 24/7 raising and caring for a child and a home that's not just theirs where our MFing day off.
Wait, what? I gotta rewind that.
7 raising and caring for a child. Say, but let's not talk about women who stay home 24/7 raising and caring for a child and a home that's not just theirs where our MFing day off. Angry face.
Did that guy like not use grammar? Is not just theirs and my effing day off? Like, is he trying to say it's not just theirs, it's mine on my day off or something? Because like they're
Angry face. Huh?
angry face.
So the first thing I want to say about that is if you're gonna make a pretty aggressive comment like that, you should proofread.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I do
yeah,
wanna talk
proofread
about
definitely. Because that was stupid.
Stay-at-home wives or moms deserve days off.
Stay-at-home moms absolutely do deserve breaks. Just doing the same thing over and over again. Yes, you're not crawling around in an attic. Yes, you're not out deep sea fishing and it's dangerous storms. Yes, you're not a firefighter, but you are still confined to an obligation, a responsibility, a duty. You are taking care of a household. You are watching over a family. You are doing very important things as a woman, and it's completely okay to have a day off. Go out to a bar, go to a hotel, or have a day off at home. You know, stop working so much. Let me do it. Let me take care of it for you so you can go play some games or you could watch your favorite soap opera or binge it for a few hours. You're a space monkey floating around on a giant goddamn space rock. It doesn't make that much sense. Just relax. Have a day off. Let people have a day off. Don't fucking come home and complain, oh, my wife wants a day off and I work every day. Like, come on. Don't be a fucking asshole, you know? Like, and please, dear God, proofread your fucking comments and have some decent grammar. Goofy goobers are over here being just a stupid, dumb idiots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a man problem because she picks shitty men, because that could be the case.
Right.
Like, you obviously have a poor choice in partners if that has been your experience with every man that you've been with.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
The common denominator.
Where's the accountability? Right, because there's no fucking possibility that every single man that you've ever dated is a piece of shit.
Right.
Right.
If every one of your relationships have failed,
There's a reason.
there's a fucking reason for it.
Ooh, people aren't ready for that conversation.
No, they're not. But see, that's the difference in the accountability
No
conversation
way.
that we've had. That's why we don't fight.
It's
because
like,
we
even
feel,
then,
okay,
like,
you're right.
if your relationships fail, then, like, I don't even want to criticize you for that either. It's like, okay, if you're bad at relationships, you're bad at relationships, and stop fucking doing them. Like, just be single forever. Like, and don't complain about it. Don't whine about, like, if you genuinely don't want to work on yourself and you genuinely don't want to communicate with your partner, and you're just basically annoyed by another person's presence, then stop fucking stop fucking talking to people, because I don't like most people, so I just stay to myself generally most of the time. I'm very lucky to have a person in my corner who, like, sees me for who I am and understands. Like, I'm a very complicated person. I'm very specific about pretty much goddamn everything.
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
So, like, if you're not upfront about that and you throw yourself into relationships and you're just the most complicated person in the world and you make things very difficult, then stop doing that. Like, work on yourself and make yourself better for your relationships, or stop having relationships if you're just going to be train wrecking them pretty much deliberately, because if you're not choosing to change yourself, then you're deliberately deciding you want to do that.
I have my time management skills like
Yeah.
perfected.
I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick.
Yeah.
The reason that the kids are in daycare is because there are special needs that need to be met that we are, though I think we could probably manage, I would rather have a professional do it.
Right.
Like our son with his speech.
Mm-hmm.
And so much so that I'm ready to hire
Yeah.
a secondary speech coach.
Yeah.
Those are things that are
He's
important
getting
to me.
better.
So the daycare thing, as much as I would rather have the kids here, especially when school starts, like if we could homeschool, that's something that we've talked about at length.
Right.
I would be happier with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
I'm
also would
afraid
be.
that we are going to have shortcomings in that aspect because of the special needs aspect of things. Having somebody
Okay, so like the biggest special needs thing is definitely just our son's speech. Like I'm not gonna sit here and go into the complicated, special needs thing about his speech. Like, he's getting better. I've seen some things. He says like snake. He can say the N after the S now. Like, yeah, of course it's not great. It's not perfect. I don't think he's gonna get super bad. I was in speech when I was in first grade, and it was just like I was only in it for like a year, and it was like, why? It was kind of pointless and kind of stupid. Like, I actually vividly remember first grade. I remember like one thing out of kindergarten, and it was like I was so cool. It was the coolest thing ever. They asked me basically what's 0 plus 0. And nobody raised their hands, and all the cool kids had already raised their hand. Oh, I know 2 plus 2. I know 1 plus 1, and they're like, oh, we all know this. They're all smart. And then everyone was quiet for 0 plus 0, and I was like, it's 0? And God, it was the best feeling ever. I will forever chase that high of kindergarten fame. See, an issue I have with this is that there's adults that continuously have speech impediments that don't, like, I mean, they have them. Like, Christina has them, I think, or Peaches. She has a lisp, I thought, if I remember. Like, yeah, I don't know if she, like, did anything about that. I might be wrong here. But, like, I know people who have, like, adult speech impediments. Like, my son talks too fast. I think he talks too fast. Our kids are pretty good. I don't think I want them indoctrinated into the school system anyway, especially with the insane amount of school shootings.
the daycare closes constantly and we have the kids all day long, and it's not like our day really changes much. It adds like an extra hour
Right.
into your schedule. So I only bring that up because of the time management videos that you've made. People are like, well, what about kids? If you have kids, that's not the case. No, it really fucking is the case. Like,
Yeah. I still do everything, even with the kids here.
right.
I have them help me clean.
Right. Yeah, they have to help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They enjoy
they better help in your household, because I make them do a lot here. They do the dishes with me. They take the trash out with me. They have to rinse their plates off and stuff, because if you don't rinse it off and then put it in the dishwasher isn't gonna clean it all the way. They gotta fold their laundry. They gotta do all this shit. They make sure that they wash their own hands. They take their own showers and shampoo their own hair. They're not. My son just turned 5 like a month ago. Like, they're fine. They're fine. I'm not super worried. I'm sitting here talking about our kid. I didn't intend to have this conversation, but they're talking about it, so I guess I'm reacting to it.
And I interrupt with us.
Oh, bro, it really. Oh, I called you, bro. Babe. It really.
Dude.
Is that a pet peeve? Is that a pet peeve of his?
See, what you were saying prior, breaking the habits. I caught myself in the moment
Yeah.
and corrected it.
He actually has a pet peeve for that.
Example.
I've been wanting to push that button since we started this thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer I can
This will
like
be the
watch
last
right this
one.
second, because holy shit, I have a day ahead of me.
What
But
do you do if you're behind on chores because of mental issues?
okay, that's a good one.
It's not
It
the end
wouldn't
of the
matter.
world. Our
It's
house
really
is not going to fall apart
No.
if it's not maintained 24/7.
Right.
So on days where we're both home and you're like, hey, I'm like, cool, let's not do that then. Let's sit here and binge watch TV show all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather spend that time with you because I'm home than have you fucking cooking and cleaning and
Clock out. Like, you took the day to, like, if you took the day and we say took the day at my job, that's like slang for I clocked out early. I'm gonna take the day and just fucking go, you know? If you're a woman and your job is to take care of the household, is that the gender role in your traditional relationship, that you want to play and you're having mental issues and you're having a really hard day, you can just take the day, okay? And when the man comes home, you know, communicate that. Because then, like, if it just seems nothing's done, then it's just like, now I'm asking questions. You communicate, hey, I had to take the day, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't get this done, can you help me? There you go, communicated, bada bing, bada boom, donezoed. But yeah, definitely communicate that, because if you just take the day and then you just don't say anything, like if you take like the day you call out of work and then you don't tell your partner that you called out of work, and what are you doing? Like, like that's kind of weird, right? Like that's how I see that. If you're gonna do nothing and feel bad, like just say that, like, hey, I just spent the day really hanging out. It felt good. I just needed it.
But the extra 15 seconds that it would take me to take out the trash, or 2 minutes if I have to walk it to the curb, like,
It's nothing.
I would rather just do that 2 minutes of time and get it out of the way than hear 15 to 20 minutes of fighting because I waited until there was bugs or...
I do have like a weird thing about that, because like it's stupid to me too. Like if I genuinely waited until there was bugs to pile up at the trash can in order for me to start having an argument with my partner, then in like a weird sense, I kind of feel like that falls on both of us. If I'm not helping, I'm an asshole. But if my partner's not taking care of the things that they're supposed to take care of, then, I mean, they're kind of an asshole too. Like, you kind of have to do your job. Like, the woman in the relationship isn't going to strap up and go to your job and start helping you at your job all the time and doing exactly what you do, like, as a male gender role. That's not gonna happen all the time. I mean, it could in maybe their line of work where they have a business that they run. It's probably less likely for it to happen in different trades or different industries where the jobs are more physically demanding. Yes, like my job, for example, my girlfriend's not going to strap up and just show up on my job site and be like, I noticed that this wasn't getting done, so I'm going to help you get it done. That's not something that happens. So I think that as far as accountability, like we just actually started this entire podcast off with accountability. I think that does fall on that person, like for not doing that chore or that job. And also, I'm not saying it doesn't fall on me or the male gender role, because yes, like waiting for it to get bad is stupid. Like, you should just help and get it done. But I don't think that entirely falls on just one person. And I think it's important to realize, like, if you just let it happen, you're kind of a dick. But if you just let it happen, if you both just let it happen, you're kind of a dick.
Getting up and showering, like
Right
that
on.
woman. Getting up and
Right on. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't even get like fucking few seconds. That's a huge thing. If you don't actually do your routines and like fit yourself into your better cycles, you're not going to get better. Like, you can't just stay in bed all day. It's not going to help you at all. Like, you have to get up and you have to suffer a little bit, like, in order to change things. If you want to, like, you don't even have to suffer. That's a weird way to say it. Like, you just have to... You can have a good time doing something you don't like. Like, it's training. It's, like, practice. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice is, like, really important. And that's what this goes along with, the practice for, like, having these routines. So she's talking about if you don't get into the routines, if you don't do the practice, then you're not going to see the results.
I'm notorious for just taking shit out of the dishwasher as I need it. Because it's less stuff that's got to get pulled out. Like,
I do that too.
I'll just grab it out of the dishwasher.
Yeah, because it's just there. It's just... There's so many different things in there.
It is less shit that's got
because you have the cup cupboard. You have like, how does a lady let a man protect her question free? As in, how does she let him do his job without questioning him on how he does his job because of her past?
If a previous
right?
man broke all trust she has in anyone.
Well, that's her. Then she's just got to work on that trust issues. Like, I had trust issues in the past that have been like very heavily worked on, that are like a lot better now. Actually, it takes so much time. Just deal with it. Deal with your emotions. Suck it up and deal with it. Be alone for a while. Being alone helps a lot. Relationships are a vicious cycle of not having yourself straightened out, and most people, especially with a lot of things that have been going on in the United States and around the entire world and different various countries, there are problems on so many different global and local scales that you bring into your homes, such as toilet paper shortages and hurricanes and various other things. Especially like the toilet paper shortage was the weirdest one for me because people literally took diapers to wipe their ass, and I didn't have any diapers for my fucking kids. And it was confusing because I didn't think that would be a problem. I didn't think that I had to stock up on diapers. But wow, when toilet paper ran out, they went to fucking diapers to wipe their own asses. That was the most wild shit to me. It was insane. Well, anyway, global things, local issues, such as your own personal feelings and things outside of it global, like, these two things will affect you in so many different ways. If you don't have yourself figured the fuck out and you're bringing baggage into a relationship, it's gonna, like, we're constantly, I feel like we're just kind of repeating this. Like, yeah, we're answering these questions for these people on their podcast, but at the same time, like, I hate to break this to a majority of the viewers. It's just common sense. Like, it's very difficult to, like, teach yourself and train yourself this kind of mental, like, health, but it's actually so goddamn straightforward. Like, it's not complicated. Like, it's not, but it's hard. It's not complicated, but it's hard to get over yourself, to like let yourself die, to get over a part of yourself that's bringing you down and making life difficult. Alright, that's pretty much all I had. I don't have too much time. I wish I could watch the entire thing. They did deserve a decent, first watch. I didn't want to hop into this with any bias, so I just wanted to go ahead and give it a quick watch. That's basically it. See ya.
Complete.